Hello and thanks for watching Best Maths Tutors. I'm continuing to go through the foundation paper from 2019. This is paper 1. We're on question 18 and we're going to go through all these questions. So if you'd like to see more, hit the subscribe button. So question 18 is a question where we've got a rectangular garden path and Wazim is going to cover the path with paving stones. So it says that each paving stone is a square, side 30 centimetres, and each paving stone costs £2.50. So he's got £220, and we've got to work out that he's got enough money to buy all the paving stones that he needs. So I'll just change my pen here. So if we look at the dimensions that's given, we can see it's a rectangular with a height of 120 centimetres. And so since we've got squares that are 30 centimetres of side, then we could actually divide 30 into the 120, and we could see that we'd get 4 in height. So we could get 4 squares like this in height. Each one's got a size there of 30 centimetres. So we can see that we've got 4 lots of 30 will go that way, which we could have found that by dividing 120 by 30, and we would get 4 as our answer. And if we want to know how many go horizontally, so we're going to get a load of squares that's going to go horizontally like this, then what we can do is we can find that out by dividing 600 divided by the size of one of these, the side, so divided by the 30. So if we do that, I can actually just divide both of these by 10 just to make it an easier question, which if I can show that as, if I wrote that as a fraction, that means 600 divided by 30. I can cross off a 0 on each one of those, and it makes it a bit of an easier question. So I can see that I've got 60 divided by 3 now in the simplified question, and 3 goes into 6 twice, and it goes into 0, obviously, 0 times, so that gives me 20. That means across the horizontal length there, I'm going to get 20 squares going across horizontally, and I'm going to get 4 going vertically. So that means the total number of paving stones that we're going to need is going to be 4 times 20, which means we're going to need 80 paving stones in total, 80. And since each paving stone costs £2.50, then the total cost is going to be given by 80 times by £2.50. So what we're going to do, first of all, is just do it without any decimal points in there. So we'll just go 80 times 250. So we can say 0 times 0, go through by 0, obviously just get 0 on the top line. 0 times 0 is 0, 0 times 5 is 0, 0 times 2 is 0. When we multiply through by the 8, because that's in the tens column, we're actually going to write a 0 there, and that moves everything across by 1. So we've got 8 times the 0 there, and that's going to be 0, obviously. 8 times 5 is 40, and so we write down a 0 and carry the 4, and then 8 times 2 is 16, plus the 4 we've carried is 20. So if we add both of them up, just move the board up a little. If we add both them columns up, 0, 0, 0, there we go. Now what we need to do is put the decimal point back in the correct place. And when we're multiplying decimals, we've got to have as many numbers after the decimal point as in the answer as there are in the question. So we've got 80 times £2.50, because we've got 2 decimal points, 2 numbers after the decimal point there. So if I write down this 20,000 as it's written there, but put two numbers after the decimal point, so I've got the same number of numbers after the point in the answer as in the question, then it's going to be correct. So we can see that 80 times by £2.50 is actually £200. And since this is less than what he's got, so this is less than the 220, which Wazim actually has, so he does have enough. So we can just write that in there. So it's less than the 220, so Wazim has enough money. So if we now look at question 19, then we've got we're subtracting two fractions here. So we've got 2/3 take away 1/5. So what's important here is that we must make the denominators the same. To do that, we can multiply top and bottom of the fraction by the same number. So we can take the 2/3, and we can see that 3 and 5, these are our denominators here. We've got to make them the same. So we're looking for a number which both of those will go into. So we can see they'll both go into the 15. So in order to do that, we'd have to multiply the 3 there on the bottom by 5. And got to do exactly the same to the top. So we've got to times that by 5 as well. And that's going to give me 10/15. So the 2/3 can be written as 10/15. And the 1/5, for me to change that into 15, what I need to do is multiply the bottom of that by 3. And so if I multiply the bottom by 3, then I've also got to multiply the top by 3. So that will give me 3/15. So now our question is actually replacing the 2/3 by the 10/15 there. 10/15 minus 3/15. And so that will give me 7/15, because what I must do is take away the top line but keep the bottom number the same. So now we're on part B. So we've got a multiplication this time. 2/3 times 3/4. So there's a couple of ways we could do this. The most basic way, the one where we won't get into any difficulties with, is we just times the top lines together. Top line's called the numerator. So we've got, I'll just write this question again actually. And so we multiply the top lines there. So 2 times 3 will give us 6. And then we've also got to multiply the bottom lines. So we've got 3 times 4 is 12. So we've actually multiplied it, but we've got to give it in its simplest form. And we do that by seeing if we can find a number which will go into the top and the bottom of the fraction. So if we look for the biggest number that will go into both the 6 and the 12, it's actually 6 will go into both the top and the bottom of the fraction. So 6 is a factor of both 6 and 12. We divide the 6 by 6, what we get is 1. And if we divide the 12 by 6, we get 2. So our answer is just a half. There we go. That's our answer to that one. So looking now at question 20, two squares, A and B, and we're told that the length of the side of square A is 50%. So 50% equals a half, and it's half of the length of a side of square B. We've shaded in half there. In this region is half of square A. I've got to find the percentage of the area of square B that the shaded region of square A is. So there's probably a few ways we could do this. The easiest way, though, I think, is by drawing square A inside square B. So because we're told that the side of this here is actually half of this distance here, we could see that we could get 4 of A inside of B. If I then take half of A there, as is shaded in, so there we go, you can see that this is like the shaded bit of A. If we ask ourselves how many of these would go into there, into the whole lot, we can see, well, we've got, if I split it into equal regions, it's probably the easiest way we can see. So I'm just doing it, splitting every one of those squares same size as A into half. You can see we've got 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them, and we've got 1/8 is shaded in. And so we need to try and convert 1/8. We can first of all divide the top of the 8th by the bottom, so we'll get this. So we've got 1 inside a division symbol, and 8 on the outside, and we can see that 8 won't go into 1, but if we add some zeros after a decimal point, and carry the 1 there, 8 doesn't go into that first one, a decimal point above that, and then we've got 8 goes into 10 once, and then the remainder, since 1/8 is 8, the remainder is 2, and then we say 8's into 20, and that goes in twice, and the remainder, if we add another 0, and we can keep adding as many zeros as we need, is 4, and 8's into 4, 40 is 5. 5/8 is 40. So 1/8 equals 0.125 as a decimal. We need to now change that into a percentage. So we can change it to a percentage by moving the decimal point 2 places to the right. So if we do that, we take our 0.125, move the decimal point, which just means skipping it over 2 places. It goes between the 2 and the 5, so that is equal to 12.5%. And we've done it. So I hope that's been helpful to you. If it has, please like our video and subscribe to our channel. And also there's a notification bell that you can click and you'll be notified about all the videos that we produce. So thank you for watching.